All right, we are live. Now let's check, make sure everything's working right. Okay. And then so today, guys, we're going to give it a few minutes to let everybody kind of trickle in. Already got some people popping in. We're going to give it a few minutes, guys, before we get everything started. Like always, if you guys have questions, you can post it, and I'll do my best to kind of clarify the issues that you're having or the questions. Can be about anything. I mean, even if you're, if you want to talk about the Major League Baseball, college baseball, recruiting stuff, don't hesitate to let me know what you're thinking. And we got a interesting article to read today. Actually, my dad sent it to me and my brothers. And to tease it, it's titled Goodbye Baseball. And it's an article written by a New York, let me see down here. It says exactly, I mean, this isn't just some weird writer. 45-year columnist at New York Post, last 23 years, elected to the New York Baseball Hall of Fame, former sports talk host, ESPN First Take, and so this guy's been around a long time. He's watched baseball as a sports writer for, let's just call it 50 years. And he's written an article titled Goodbye Baseball. And it just kind of gets into, and we're going to go through it and read it, because I do think it's one of those articles that kind of pinpoints exactly what I think a lot of people are feeling. And it's not too long, but I'm going to read it in its entirety, because I do think, for those of us who maybe feel like baseball is kind of moving in the wrong direction from, the changes in the rules, the people running Major League Baseball teams, not all of them, but just generally speaking, and, the way that coaches are being treated. And listen, I mean, there's plenty of stories where, I mean, there's a lot of people in charge, presidents of baseball ops, GMs, who think that coaches kind of just sit around and talk with the players and they don't bring any value besides that. Because why would you need a coach if you have, the analytics are presented to the player? Why would you need a coach? And, so they look at coaches as kind of expendable. I can tell you from being in clubhouses that, one of the best pitching coaches in the major leagues over the last, let's call it 8 years, the team he was with, he helped tutor a lot of young up-and-coming star pitchers in that organization. And when his contract was up, he wasn't extended. And they didn't, because they didn't think that he really did anything. and again, so and this is one of the points I talk about a lot. But what happens is you have so many people in an organization that never played baseball at a high level. There's this there was this kind of viral clip of JJ Redick on First Take, ESPN First Take, I believe, where he said, he's like, from what you guys are saying, I can tell that neither of you have ever played high level basketball. And this is the same thing. It's, if you think a coach, now there can be bad coaches too. There can be bad coaches there because there's good coaches. But if you think a coach doesn't have an impact on players in a positive or a negative way, then you've never played baseball at a high level. And you've never been even around. You don't even have to have played at a high level, but you haven't been around the game in a genuine way long enough to understand that. There's a lot of old school baseball people that didn't play in the minor leagues, but they understood these things. And my dad, one of them, he played minor league baseball, so he kind of had the experience of both being a player, a coach, a scout before moving into the front office. There's just so many people in these organizations now that are so disconnected from your normal professional player, have no idea what that experience is like. And I think I told the story maybe I haven't, but there was a time in AAA where I was, almost got called up, and that happened a few times, and I never got the call throughout my career, but there was 3 times where it was between me and another guy, and at this point, our assistant farm director was in town, and so they called up another guy, and they brought me in and had basically told me, it was back and forth who it was going to be, and the assistant farm director, who again never played at a high level, was never around the major professional baseball at all, he looks me dead in the eyes, and I'm obviously very disappointed. And this was probably the second or third time that had happened. So at that point, it wasn't just disappointment. I mean, it was frustration, it was anger, it was like, what do I have to do? And he looks me dead in the eye and he says, "Well, Kyle, the thing is, it's only going to be for like 3 days anyway." And at that point, I realized that I was dealing with someone who just had no clue. Because, I looked him back in the eyes and I said, I've never played in the big leagues before, right? And I think in that moment he knew what he had said, but he had basically just said he didn't get that, since I was a young kid, my dream was to play one day in the major leagues. So 3 days was like, oh, okay. Like, give me an hour. And that experience is kind of, that's happening more and more, because when you're that disconnected from what the dreams and hopes of the players you're overseeing are, it's not good. And that was kind of the breaking point for me in that organization, because it was just like, and basically what I was told was, because it's only going to be for 3 days, we would have to have put you on the roster, but then we'd have to take you off the roster, which is called being designated for assignment or DFA'd. And what that means is that now all 29 other teams have the opportunity to pick you up. And what the assistant farm director told me was, well, we like you. We don't want to lose you. So the reason we're not calling you up is because we don't want to lose you. Which, again, it was just kind of one of those BS things you tell someone, because I'd never got called up after that. So it wasn't like, you obviously didn't value me that highly. But anyway, I mean, that's something that I use that as an example of just someone who was in a decent position in professional baseball in the front office and player development, who he just had no clue. The fact that you could say that to someone who, knowing the history that it had been, this is probably the 3rd time that I had been called in and kind of told the exact same thing, and to say, well, it would only be for 3 days. It was like, well, you got to get that first day out of the way. But anyway, and make sure, guys, if you are paying attention, again, just if you do have questions, post them in the chat, man. I want to have conversations. I want to have great questions that spark conversation. I know some of you guys, I've said this, but if you don't feel like posting in the chat, if you want to DM me, that works too. You can send me a DM and I'll, you can do it anonymously if for some reason you don't want to, post on it publicly. And so I'm going to go over a little bit of kind of what we're talking about today. Right now, the game plan is I'm going to go over this article that I talked about previously. It's entitled Goodbye Baseball. And it's just about the changes and how really, I hit on it in an earlier video or stream. And I said, what's this game even going to be called in 10 years with how much change we're seeing? Football, they're moving back the kickoff or they're moving back the PAT to make it a little bit more difficult. But you're not really changing the fundamental part of the game. But in baseball, in this article, we'll go through a list and you'll see just how fundamentally different the game is all of a sudden. It's just a totally different game. And, you don't see basketball just changing all the rules, right? You don't see basketball changing all the rules. Mike's kind of messing with my camera. But again, football, you see it with kind of like, making the 2-point a little bit easier or, to stimulate some new strategies and whether you go for a PAT or you go for a 2-point conversion. But they're not saying, well, the first down's 15 yards now, or, you can now have 12 guys on the field. You can have 2 quarterbacks, they're not fundamentally changing the game. Whereas, baseball, we have fundamentally changed the game. And whether that's, no contact, it would basically be like football. Baseball's not a necessarily contact sport, but you used to be able to take out the second baseman or shortstop on a double play. Now it would be like saying, well, lineman, you can't, or a linebacker, you can't tackle a guy to the ground. Well, then what's the running back's just going to running free, and you got to wrap tackle him or, foot tackle him. And we'll go through it. But again, now you don't see anybody taking out infielders. Infielders' footwork around the bag is worse because of that. And there's a lot more we'll talk about. Secondly, we got a few games we're going to talk about. We're going to go over some midweek games from Tuesday. Would be in a couple in the Carolinas. So it'll be Clemson and Charlotte. And then just to double check. And then it'll be UNC and Coastal Carolina. So 4 really great programs, guys. North Carolina and Coastal, both in the top 20. Clemson, obviously, I think they're hovering around top 5, or maybe number 6 in the country. And Charlotte is, a fantastic program in the mid-majors. And, a team that's done really well recently, getting the NCAA tournament and everything like that. So 4 really good teams we're gonna watch and kind of discuss the game. And after that, we'll talk a little bit about development recruiting, and then we'll be done. But we're going to start off and read this article, guys, because I think this is really important, and I'm going to bring this up so you guys can see it too. And it's making everything really bright, but I'm going to do my best to try to read this for you guys, and we'll kind of discuss it afterward. Goodbye Baseball by Kevin Kernan. Believe what your eyes are seeing, not what you are told to believe. Baseball in 2024 is in a dangerous spot. Going into this week, 2 teams were hitting under 200, and you are supposed to pay major league money to see a game and pay major league concession prices. These 2 teams are the White Sox at 196 and the Twins at 194. The Blue Jays are hitting 196 on the road. If your team can't hit 200, you should be allowed to go to a game for $5, and you should get half off your concessions. After all, you purchased a ticket with the intention of seeing Major League Baseball, not some bizarre hitting experiments by nerds in the front office with the blessing of nerd ownership. This should be a fan's right. And for all those teams just hitting above the Mendoza line, you should get ticket prices and concession prices slashed, as well and games should be much cheaper to watch on television. Sorry, this computer screen is kind of far away, so it's a little tough to see. It's only fair. The Mariners are at 210. The Marlins and Tigers are at 215. The Red Sox are hitting a lofty 226. 37 players are currently hitting under 200. Now, again, I mean, we are seeing just really bad numbers offensively across the board. It is, I'm going to give it with the caveat. I'm not saying I disagree with what this guy's saying, but it is, we're just a few weeks into the season. So these things could change, but I tend to kind of believe with what he's saying is that we're probably going to see, every year we're seeing most strikeouts, worst batting average, everything like that. They tell us the game has never been better. They tell us the pitching has never been better. Yet injuries and bases on balls are the two constants of the MLB game. And taking strike three right down the middle because the batter was looking for something else and simply gave up on the pitch is now an accepted practice. Compete is out the window. If you don't get your pitch, tip your cap and go double check your strikeout at the iPad station. I know there's a way I can I think I just made it worse. Okay. I got the article right here, actually, on my phone. I'll just read it like this. All right. Let's continue. It is no longer the game where the batter goes up to the plate with a competitive mindset and I will not strike out mindset. This 2024 batter has been told by legions of nerds that strikeouts don't matter. So that has become a truth in his warped sense of hitting. Pitching command is out the window too, but they tell us this is the best group of pitchers to ever pitch in the game. The Marlins, who are an analytical test tube under current leadership, had their pitchers walk a stunning 82 batters in the first 17 games. That's just about 5 walks per game. And you thought Little League pitchers walked a lot of hitters. Welcome to Gabe Kapler world. The Astros walked 79 hitters in the first 18 games. The Rockies and Padres walked 75 hitters the first 17 games. The other night on Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, which is supposed to be essentially the game of the week, the Dodgers walked 14 Padres in a 6-3 loss. Former Major League player Jeff Fry points out all the individual hitters batting under 200. Joey Gallo, who has been paid millions upon millions, I played against him in the minor leagues, millions of dollars, recently went through an 0-for-11 streak with 9 strikeouts. He was batting 151 with 26 Ks and only 8 hits and 53 at-bats. For the record, he is a lifetime 196 hitter who has made $36 million. Stay hot, cashing checks. But that is what the nerds have given us, all with the blessings of Commissioner Rob Manfred, who loves to be called commissioner. To their credit, former players are beginning to speak up more and more, like myself. Current players better start speaking up more and more, especially pitchers. They are becoming elbow surgery extinct. Throw as hard as you can for as long as you can and be replaced by another arm. Salaries aren't going up. If pitchers continue to live on injured list, the Braves' Spencer Strider was smart to sign an extension after the 22 season, a 6-year, $75 million deal that includes a $22 million option with a $5 million buyout in 2029. The injured list has some big Cy Young pitchers pitching names on it, and Justin Verlander, Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer, Jacob deGrom, Garrett Cole, to name a few. This is not the same game it once was, and it is becoming more evident every day. Former Major League pitcher Kip Gross has been keeping tabs, and he compiled a list of how the game has changed since Rob Manfred took over as commissioner. This is Kip's list, not my list, and you may not see it exactly as Kip sees it, but here it is to check out. It is well worth your time because Kip looks at the big picture here by looking at the small picture. All the changes. So we'll go through these changes here. Here goes Kip. What has the commissioner changed? Reds starting the season opening day in Cincinnati. They did it in Korea. Gambling in stadium now permitted. Can't fake throw to third. Can't automatically walk batter without throwing a pitch, or can now automatically walk the batter without throwing a pitch. Defense can no longer play where they want. Shifting is now banned. Runners must slide directly into the bag. Infielders can no longer put any part of their bodies in front of the bag when the runner is sliding. Catcher must stay in his lane when tagging a runner. Bases are larger. Pitchers can only throw to a bag 3 times, and if unsuccessful the third time, the runner gets to the next base for free. Which basically means because, if you're a base runner and he can't pick off, you can just steal, Pitch clock, hitter clock, rosters expanded to 26 players instead of 25. Suspending players who are innocent of wrongdoing and blackballed. I think he's talking about Trevor Bauer here. Agree or disagree with what he says. Can only have a certain amount of pitchers on a team. Disabled list changed to injured list. Disabled list was changed from 15 days to 10. So now you can put a guy in the injured list. What he's saying here is now you're not as hurt by putting a guy in an injured list. It used to be 15 days. That's 33 or 50% increase from 10. So you can just kind of put a guy in the injured list and then call a guy fresh arm up and then, rinse and repeat. Pitchers now wear headgear to get signs from the catcher. Middle infielders have headgear to get signs from the catcher. Distance between bases has been shortened. A hitter can now strike out without seeing a pitch clock, stuff like that. Only get a few visits to the mound as a coach. DH eliminated in National League. Extra innings, runner on second, no outs. Because everybody asked for that. Relief. And here's the thing about the DH in the National League, guys. I think a lot of people, and again, this is just kind of this newer generation of people who just kind of, maybe weren't fans of the game before and all of a sudden became fans. But here's the issue. This is the issue. A National League manager had to really know what he was doing. It's like, it's the 6th inning and you're down by 1 and you got runners on second and third with the pitcher spot up. Are we going to pinch hit? Are we going to keep him in? Are we going to do a double switch to move the pitcher's spot in the batting order so we don't have to, So there was a lot more strategy involved being a major league manager. And what happened, and what I think a big push for this is for the front office to have more control. And, what he calls the nerds, you can call them whatever they were, the more analytic types who, let's just be completely honest, they tell the manager what to do now for the most part. There's still some managers, there are still some organizations like the Philadelphia Phillies, they're not that kind of program. They do analytics, but they also have old school guys and they kind of make the best decisions based on that. But let's be honest. As soon as analytics got pushed and took over kind of the front offices of Major League Baseball, all of a sudden, we don't want the DH we don't want the pitcher hitting in the National League anymore. And every once in a while, a pitcher would get hurt at the plate, and they'd be like, "I don't know why we do this. This is so ridiculous." It's like, come on. It's like, it's like basically changing the rules of football so that like the quarterback doesn't get hurt, which they have done, slightly. But it would basically be like, well, you can't tackle the quarterback now. Okay. And so I do think, that was a push because now in the National League, the manager doesn't have as much control as they used to have in the years past. It's totally different game now. The idea that 20 years ago, the GM, my dad was a GM of the Atlanta Braves. He would go down every day and have a meeting with Freddie Gonzalez, and they would talk through, what the strategy was, but it wasn't like, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to do. Because my dad respected him and his baseball mind, and, 2 minds are better than 1. But now it's totally different. Now it's, well, this is what we're going to do, and this, that, and this, and that, and this, and that. Anyway, we'll continue. Relief pitchers must face 3 hitters or finish the inning. Loaded baseball for record performances. I talked about the juice baseball. It's 100% juiced. I made a video about it, but, you ask any guy that played in the minor leagues in like 2015, 2016, 2017, around that time, and ask them if they got to play in a big league spring training game or went up to the big leagues, ask them if the ball was juiced. I can promise you, they will all tell you the ball is like crazy juiced. All of them will tell you. It was a different baseball. In AAA, if the team knew, if the big league club was going to have to call up a pitcher, and they didn't know who they were going to grab or who they were going to call up, all the pitchers who were on the 40-man roster would for the few days would be playing catch with the Major League Baseball because it was different. It felt different. Most pitchers would tell you it was like holding a cue ball. You wonder why pitchers are using up sticky substance and stuff like that, which I'm not totally against. I do think as long as it's regulated, I'm for that. I don't care. But that's why. It's because the Major League Baseball was like, they would tell you it just slips out of your hand. Anyway, we'll keep going. Pitching 7 innings of no-hit ball, which is the end of the game, doesn't get you a no-hitter. Umpires checking pitchers while leaving the field for illegal substances. Advertisements on jerseys, first game of the season in Korea for Cincinnati, what he said earlier. Different rules for the playoffs with no runners on second base in extra innings. So in the playoffs, we can go full-time extras. But in the regular season, we're going to put a ghost runner on second. I mean, really, it's like Little League stuff. Pitcher cannot come set until the hitter is looking at the pitcher or he gets a ball called. The hitter must look at the pitcher within so many seconds or he gets a strike called. Front office has changed. Catcher is now set up on one knee and miss many balls. Again, I mean, I talk about this a lot. I'm not for or against one knee, but I am against it when the situation demands you need to be in athletic stance to block pitches. And I would love to talk with someone who's like, thinks one knee is like the best thing ever. Cause it's not like I'm one way or another. I do think one knee is great in certain, situations, no one on base, you're trying to steal strikes, all for it. But I have, and I think what happens is in the major leagues, you're talking about the best catchers in the game, the best defensive catchers in the game. They're going to be better than your run-of-the-mill college catcher. And so you put high school kids in these stances and college kids in these stances, and balls that should be blocked are just not getting blocked. Pitchers get hurt at alarming rates. We've talked about that. Never before have we seen this. Guys just, year by year, the number of injuries are going up. Hitters are striking out at a bigger pace than Nolan Ryan's career averages. So we'll get it, And here's the thing, guys. The biggest cop-out and cope of the analytics kind of people, again, who probably never played baseball at a high level. Some of them have, but I disagree with them. The reason you're seeing guys strike out at an alarming rate is because no one around them is telling them it's not okay. When the head of your organization is saying, we don't care about strikeouts, it's just the same as any other route, so who cares? Then you're going to see more strikeouts. When there's no punishment, or not punishment, but when there's no pushback, when a guy strikes out 200 times in a season, why would they change? Why would they change? Pitching, I promise you, I played 7 years in professional baseball, 5 of those in AAA. I was a .290 career hitter. Like, the pitching is good. It's not like you need to strike out 200 times a season good. And the problem is this. There were always guys that struck out a lot. There was always, now there's a lot more now, but there were always guys that were kind of just big power guys that swung and missed a lot. But the problem is now you have guys hitting like 14 home runs who strike out 150 times a season, or 140, 130 times a season. And they're not like a 30 home run guy. So you could kind of, as long as you're driving in a lot of runs and hitting for a lot of power, strikeouts you can kind of look past them a little bit. But the culture of hitting coaches in professional baseball, and to be honest, guys, I'll tell you, people are leaving, like former players are leaving professional coaching like fast. I was offered a few jobs in professional baseball after my career was over to be a hitting coach in the minor leagues. I know I would have loved that. I did have a family and a couple kids at home, or at least one kid at home at the time before our second son was born. So I kind of, my wife had followed me my whole career. And we had done long distance. So it was kind of like, we don't want to do that again. But I know so many guys, so many coaches in professional baseball that, unless they're a lifer who's been doing this their entire life and everything like that, I mean, they're jumping out quick because they're finding out that they basically have no agency at all as a coach. You're told what to teach, and you can't have your own philosophy, and you can't disagree. That's for sure, at least in some organizations, because you can't dissent to what the Ivy League alum GM or president of baseball ops believes. Only a couple 300 hitters each year. That, again, another true thing. We're seeing less and less people to hit 300 because batting average is a meaningless stat. Again, anyone who says that never played baseball at a high level. Never. And again, I've walked through how you can justify, the batting average being good, batting average being bad. Listen, with a runner on second base and 2 outs in a tie game, or you got to tie the game in the bottom of the 9th, you want the guy with the best batting average up, not the guy with the best OPS. Sorry. You want the guy with the best batting average up. Dusty, thanks for the question. Perhaps less hitters are hitting 300 because arms are at an all-time level. See, I don't disagree. I don't agree with that. I think, correlation doesn't equal causation. And I think just because, and we can talk through, the radar guns are more accurate now. Radar guns in the past were picking up the velocity of a pitch at like halfway to home or even closer. And so anyone that's been around the game knows that, guy that throws 91 out of the hand, when it crosses home plate, it's going to be like 83 or 84. And, people are a little bit different, but that's generally what it would be. And so 30 years ago, when they were clocking guys, it was not out of the hand. It was like halfway. So a guy that threw 90 on that gun, or a guy that threw 88 on that gun, would be, it's going to be in your low to mid 90s on today's gun. Now, that doesn't mean stuff isn't better. And, of course, I believe that pitchers are always gradually going to get better and better over time, just like hitters are going to get better and better over time. The problem is that pitchers haven't been told, well, walks or this or that, giving up home runs doesn't matter. But hitters are told, strikeouts don't matter. And so if you want less, if you're told that, if you're not told to put the ball in play as a hitter, you're not going to try your hardest with 2 strikes to just battle and put the ball in play. And it's kind of what this article talks about. And we'll get into it a little bit after that. But I disagree a little bit with the premise of the question. I do think pitchers are, have gotten better and better, but the evidence for that is, I think, not as convincing as a lot of people think. Wins don't matter to pitchers anymore. What am I leaving out? Kip, that pretty much covers it. Congratulations to you, and it is startling when you see all the changes lined up in a row. And by the way, the uniforms have changed into sweat-gathering, too small print imposters of former classic uniforms as well. What is going on? Speaking of catchers not catching anymore, did you happen to see the 8th inning of the Mets-Pirates game Monday night? The game was tied 3-3. There was 1 out. The Mets' Jeff McNeil was at the plate. Aroldis Chapman was on the mound, lefty versus lefty. Chapman threw one of his patented Chapman sliders, a pitch that was going to dig into the dirt for sure. Yet, as I was watching the setup of catcher Henry Davis, it caught my eye that Davis was down on one knee on an 0-2 pitch with no one on base. So again, you're in a count that your pitcher is usually going to try to throw a wipeout off speed, a slider in the dirt. The one knee, not very good to the one knee is not too good at blocking stuff up. And so Henry Davis in a situation, an 0-2 count, and he doesn't block the pitch. And Jeff McNeil reaches first. Chapman did what was expected and buried the pitch. McNeil swung and missed for strike 3, but Davis did not. Davis did not get in front of the pitch like catchers had been getting in front of pitches for 100 years. He swatted at the ball. It kicked away, and McNeil was safe at first. Davis unwisely threw the ball into right field, but McNeil was not super alert and did not go to second. There was a good backup on the play. Maybe McNeil was thinking of giving a congratulatory dance to the dugout, kind of making fun of all these celebrations we're seeing for every little thing now. Maybe he was still chafed about the Brewers' Rhys Hoskins sliding into him at second base a while back. He's tongue-in-cheek. A perfect baseball play where McNeil went ballistic on Hoskins. It was ridiculous. Hoskins just slides into second base and ends up going over top of the base and bumps McNeil, and McNeil acted like he had just totally taken him out. To Hoskins' credit, he got up and gave the Cry Me a River Baby to sign to McNeil. McNeil played it safe, which is fine. He was on first. The bottom line, it should have been out number 2, but the rules of engagement and the catching rules have been changed. Don't bother to catch the ball. Get on one knee and steal a strike. If you happen to catch it, no catch, no harm, plenty of foul. McNeil essentially stole first base. Yeah, I guess you can do that in 24. Thanks to Henry Davis's missed play. Chapman was given a wild pitch on the play, a play that would have been strike 3 and blocked in previous baseball generations. So the idea that he was given a wild pitch is just ridiculous. But again, this is how they game the system. If it's a pass ball, it's an error on the catcher. And so what they do now, and again, I mean, you have to think like this, but what they do now is because they're in a one-knee stance, they're going to say, well, to a certain side, he couldn't have gotten to that. Well, if he was in a normal stance, he could have blocked it. So a lot of these are going, and I'll see this used a lot by the people that are big one-knee proponents. They'll say, well, the amount of pass balls is the lowest it's been in a long time. Well, it's well, how are they judging the pass ball? Because if you watch a major league game, watch a college game, you see way more pass ball, wild pitches than ever before, and they're just categorizing them a lot heavier as wild pitches, so that it's not an error on the catcher and the one knee stance doesn't look bad. I'm not saying it's some conspiracy. I'm just saying that's what's going on. You know what happens next. The Mets took the lead in the inning, and even at a double steal as McNeil made a heads-up break for third. By the way, the Pirates and Mets have yet to throw out someone attempting to steal a base this year, something else that has changed drastically in the game. It hasn't been this easy to steal a base for runners since the development leagues and Little League. How in the world can anyone get thrown out is beyond me, but that's just another change for the betterment of the game under the commish, who loves to be called the commish. Haven't you heard? MLB has never been so good. If you don't believe me, ask Rob Manfred when you catch him coming off the golf course. He goes into Henry Davis a little bit. And then this is kind of the last part. You see, folks, the joke is on you. You are the one still paying for major league prices. You're the still one paying major league prices for a level of play that I wouldn't even dare to call minor league. It is much worse than that. They have changed the game across the board, made it worse in every way, all with the blessing of Manfred and his minions, who have created this new game that used to be called baseball. You are paying the freight. You're watching a game that is not the same game that Kip Gross played or Jeff Fry played or superstars like Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle played as well. MLB once again celebrated Jackie Robinson on Monday on Jackie Robinson Day, and good for them. That is a great day, but just imagine if Jackie Robinson saw the way the game is being played today, and what would he think of it? A man who played the game hard, played it the right way, and who knew that winning was the goal, a man who knew that batting average mattered. On this Jackie Robinson Day, I thought to myself, what would Jackie Robinson think about what has happened to his game? And what is it with all the betting business partnerships, right? Pete Rose, you can't be in the Hall of Fame, but FanDuel's, we're going to put all these commercials, we're going to put it actually in the broadcast on MLB Network, encouraging people to gamble on the game. I'm not against technically, but it's just when you're going to stand in the high horse in your ivory tower and Pete Rose is never going to be allowed in the Hall of Fame, but then you're just saying, yeah, bet. Doesn't look good. And then he just closes with the game was much different. The game was much different. And again, I don't want to act like I'm not here to act like some of these changes haven't been okay, but it's just the question is this. we fundamentally changed the game entirely. The game's totally different. You don't have to throw 4 pitches to walk a guy. I mean, again, think about this. Every year you would see a game where they would try to intentionally walk a guy, and the pitcher would just sail one or yip it off somewhere, and then runs would come and score, and then they'd win the game or something like that. They took that out of the game. You know what's next is the umpires. The umpires are going to be gone soon. I mean, they're testing all that. They've been testing that for years now. They've been testing that really since about 2019. And so they're going to be gone. Like I said, I mean, 10 years from now, who knows what the game is even going to look like. But I thought that article was pretty poignant. It made a lot of sense. I don't necessarily agree with every part of it because sport, like I said, football has changed some rules. Basketball, I'm not really as aware of it if they have or not. But football's changed some rules, but it's been minor adjustments to kind of spice the game up in certain areas of the game where no one really cared, like the kickoff. The kickoff was kind of exciting. They moved it farther back, so there was going to be more action instead of them just kind of kicking a touchback every time. And then the PAT was always just an automatic, so they'd push that back to make it, make there be more of a decision on, are we going to go for 2 or not? So I like those things. It'd be hard to kind of do that in baseball just because there's not really sections of the game like that. But football's been a lot more minor in their changes than baseball has. So we're going to get into I guess we can talk a little bit more about it, but I mean, the issue is, guys, in some level, the game has to stay the same, or it's no longer that game anymore. And the baseball is moving in a direction. I mean, it's every year. I mean, every year we're seeing big changes. It's almost like it's a game now to let's see what else we can put into the game. Let's see what other new thing they'll let us put in. And part of this is, I would say part of this is on the players union, because the players union and their collective bargaining agreements, I mean, they agree to these things. And at some point, the players need to speak out and be like, we can't keep doing this. We can't keep just saying, yeah, free reign, do whatever you want. But anyway. All right, next up, we're going to go over Charlotte versus Clemson from Tuesday. And we will – and I answered that question from Dusty earlier. It was a good question. And again, I do think, pitchers are overall, I think, better. But the reason I think hitters are doing worse is not because hitters aren't better. It's because the way that they're taught now is completely backwards. And I'll give you a perfect example. So Joey Gallo, he was brought up in the article. I played against him. He's always been a massive strikeout, massive power guy. He's basically thought of as the 3 true outcome player, which are strikeout, walk, home run. And I'll compare him to Freddie Freeman, who my dad was involved with drafting out of high school, and then was the GM when he made his rise to the minor league, to the big leagues, and gave him his first extension with Atlanta. When Freddie Freeman was in the minor leagues, he hit for a decent amount of power, but it was a wide consensus among the MLB.com, Keith Laws of the world, that Freddie Freeman was never going to hit for enough power to play first base in the major leagues. And my dad's always kind of tongue-in-cheek answer was, have you seen him hit BP? Meaning, the power was in there, plenty of power in there, but we're not going to force it out of him until he learns to be a hitter first. And therein lies the crux of the issue. The crux of the issue is that players, when they're drafted, and especially out of high school, but even affects some college guys as well, they think, well, I got to hit for power and I got to hit for power now, or I'm not going to get promoted. I'm not going to, if I don't get promoted by the middle of the season, I'm not going to get pushed to the next level after, in the next year. And then who knows, I'm out of baseball soon. And so what you're seeing is players who are not given the time to learn how to hit. They're not being told, hey, we want you to focus on hitting for average right now. They're told, well, strike out as much as you want, hit 240, but if your OPS is like 850, you're good. So you're getting what you're asking for. So it's not that pitchers are like all of a sudden this elite, unhittable monster. It's not the case. It's that hitters are basically being told, as long as you OPS 850, we don't care about strikeouts. Strike out as much as you want. Swing as hard as you want. But the problem is, and that will give you production over the course of a season, but in the macro, it can work. In the micro, the issue is you come up with runners on second and third and one out, and your job is to just hit it up the middle, on the ground up the middle or in the air deep, and you strike out because you haven't trained and haven't thought about, okay, I got to manipulate the bat here, just get it in play. That doesn't happen anymore. So I'll step off my soapbox now. We're going to go over this game now. Again, Clemson and Charlotte. Let's get it rolling.
Lafayette, California. There's an example of the first pitch swinging. Fair foul.
Nobody knows what's going on. First hitter of the game, first pitch.
Or the R&D calling him out. So the indication of the Clemson dugout we could hear through our microphone was that it was ruled a fair ball, and there's something that Eric Bakich used at Michigan that Robert Woodard picked up.
Home run counter.
Noah First cranks one high.
All right, we got one home run in the second.
And it's gone. And the second baseman for the 49ers.
Again, guys, if you have any questions, like Dusty asked, we'll talk about it.
Well, it's a fastball that we talked about, that sinking action that Billy
Charlotte
Barlow
not having a
needs to
great
get.
year, but they're 5-7 in conference, so they're not. They probably will end up making the conference tournament. But for, the overall record not great, but you're seeing that with a lot of mid majors because they're
really good.
It's a win. It's a win-win for mid majors. You schedule a really strong early part of the season against top 25 teams, and if you come out of that really well, now you may get an at-large bid in a tournament instead of having to win your conference. But even if you don't do well, you've played a really good competition. You've prepared to get in conference, and then you got to win your tournament anyway, which is what most guys have to do in the mid-major levels to get to the tournament.
For Barlow on the season, fourth long ball he's given.
Great swing, just fastball right, little two-seam, kind of ran back over the middle of the plate.
That's their 37th home run. Bain the hero in that one.
That is not an easy place to win.
Good team, number 9 in the country.
No lead to safe against Clemson. Home run counter again here.
To right, Mathis back, Terrace, Wall looks
2 home runs. Okay, guys, like we said, every game we've covered, I think the average amount of home runs hit by both teams is like around 5 or 6.
Bain, consecutive home runs.
Just think of that.
As many at bats. That's his 6th
and
of the year.
Tell me that the bats aren't.
Boy, he's sitting
still much better. The balls are juiced. And again, it's not that it's not that like there's this intentional, and maybe there is, but I think the bat technology has just improved so much. On top of the balls being more the professional ball now.
There it is, pitch, and that ball was
guys
up
are hitting,
and away a little bit.
I mean, home runs are skyrocketing every year.
Just a pitch that was kind of over the middle part of the plate, and again, he inside outed that ball really well, and it carried right out of here.
Of the replays.
Tiger pitching's done a nice job. Opponents hitting just 229.
Yeah, well out of the park.
When you have rheumatoid
well out of the
arthritis,
park.
The smallest things can feel like the biggest obstacles.
Against them. 2-2. Chopped to third, having to back up on it. And across Stallman, bad throw.
Yeah.
Correa couldn't corral.
And I've talked previously about how defenses in college baseball are nowhere near as good as at the professional level. And that's an example right there. That's just a routine ground ball to third down the line that should be an out every time, and it's it's a long throw and
sit into left field.
Charlotte ends up making a throwing error.
Boy, every time you see him come to the plate or handle a ball,
now you got
in the
two
field,
base
you can
runners
see
on.
why he was the Michigan Player of the Year as a high school senior. This DH Tristan Becerra playing left field actually, and right back up the middle and past the shortstop. DeFranco, they'll wave over top.
Oh.
And Clemson gets on the board. A hard hit. Single, and now Langhorne is still down. Caught a piece of him as well. They just want to rest him tonight and hope he can come back and feel pretty good. Skied to center field. Back on it is the center fielder Hare. He makes the catch right in front of the terrace.
Wow, he was playing shallow too. That's one of the most shallow outfielders
Hare. He made skied to center.
I've seen this year. Look where this guy is off the bat.
Hope he can come back and feel pretty.
I mean, he's like middle of the outfield. Generally, I mean, we're seeing guys playing like 20 feet off the track.
Good. Skied to center field.
He's actually playing pretty shallow.
Is the center fielder Hare. He makes the catch right in front of the terrace. The lead base runner Purify had gotten all the way to third. He retreats to second. That looked a lot better off the bat.
That kind of hung
for
up.
some reason, they're allowing the runners to advance, and I don't know why. Did the ball get away when it was tossed back?
I'm guessing there was some kind of interference on guys tagging up, maybe.
And that means the balk before the pitch, so scratch all of that, and Blauser will step
back.
The box.
So the pitcher balked. And this is a good teaching moment. So we'll look at what the balk is.
Let's see what it is. Let's see if we can find.
Oh yeah, he definitely like leans and kind of moves, like flinches a little bit. So if you're a hitter at home or anything like this is a great situation to cover because I think most guys nowadays have no idea. This is how the rule works. If the pitcher balks and then makes a pitch, always swing. Always swing because you can take either outcome. If you swing and you crush a home run, you can take the home run. If you swing and pop out, you can do what Clemson just did, which is we'll take the balk and hitter's back in the plate. So Clemson, great. I don't know if the hitter even knew he did it, but it worked out.
Not bunting here. And a swing and a miss.
But then he strikes out anyway. So.
Good slider.
Jacob Jarrell has hit well when he's been in there. His playing times increase. Hard shot. Fair ball down the left field line.
Yeah, no lead is safe against Clemson with how they've been playing this year. Especially late.
Tigers answering a 2 spot at the top of this second inning with a 3 spot so far. And Jacob Jarrell, the 2-run double. It's a 3-2 game. Deep into the game Sunday without scoring, but didn't hang their heads. And that gets away from Hobson. Runner will advance, and Jarrell will now stand at third. Canarella gave it a ride the other way. Wind blowing in tonight from center. That's a looper. It's gonna
really
fall
good
in
swings from
fair
Clemson hitters. And one thing you see right away.
Running can be such an individual sport.
I can just end these ads forever.
I thought.
4-0 game.
A lot of line drive approaches from Clemson's hitters. I mean, a lot of just like great bat paths or through the ball. They're not trying to yank everything.
He delivers a single
nice level swings that are generating line drives. And
backhanded Furch. Correa couldn't dig it out. Won't be an RBI, but Canarella
did not
will
look
come
like
across.
That hard. It was a good play by the second baseman. It did not look like that. Let's see if we get a replay here.
It's a 5-2 Clemson lead.
It did not.
Coming.
No, so we gotta look
Correa couldn't dig it. Canarella.
We'll see this because it didn't look like that bad a throw. It looked like a short hop.
Delivers a single here. He'll have his 22nd run batted into the season. Backhanded Furch.
Yeah, I mean, I think first baseman just didn't have his feet set, and so he was late getting down.
Will come across. 2 Clemson lead. 2-2 coming to the Tigers' top power threat. Blake Wright. Line.
Look at this.
Past the shortstop into left.
I've been told that low line drives are not hits, though, and ground balls are not hits.
Tried to take second. Now he's in no man's land. Stallman chased him back. Correa.
Yeah, and this is actually, it's not, here's the deal. This is totally fine. He said he's caught in no man's land, stuff like that.
Shortstop into left. It'll score another run.
If he crushes the ball, right? It's 2 outs. So what you're trying to do there, if you think it's going to be a close play at third or at home, which it should have been. I mean, this guy's already thrown the ball and he's like 20 feet past the bag. So this could very well be a close play. So as the guy that hit the ball, if you think it's going to be close at home, you need to try to draw a cut and a throw, which is exactly what Blake Wright does.
Here comes Mathis.
So,
Right.
On the money. Unfortunately, left fielder didn't look like he didn't have that great of an arm. So
Stallman chased him back. Correa
safe at home, but
throwing ahead. Tag will be
this
made.
is what you have to do. When you think it's going to be close with 2 outs, you got to prioritize that run scoring, even if it means you kind of getting tagged out.
That's the signature kind of offense he wants his team to have. That's going to land fair and head into the right field corner. Making the turn is Bianchina.
Like a vine or a tree branch out there and right down the right field line.
Of the ball game, opportunity to try to get one back right here with one away and a man in scoring position. And through the right side, Mathis charging. They're going to wave the runner. Here comes the throw, and Bianchina too fast. And it's a 6-3 game.
Nice. Charlotte playing some good baseball as well. Where is the slider?
And it's going to be first and second now, and still just one away. Now he's a first baseman for the Charlotte 49ers. Gets away from Gerald. Hector will advance to third. Away from Gerald. Now he's a first.
See, look. Okay. Drops down to one knee. Now, Dusty, if you're watching this, tell me that this shouldn't be blocked.
Baseman for the Charlotte 49ers.
And that's just and again, you can see he is not mobile enough to really get up over that baseball, because it's part of it. You're not just getting in front of it. You're angling your body so that it shoots back out in front of you. And when you're on one knee and the other one's up like that, I mean, you can't get that angle you need as a catcher.
First baseman for the Charlotte 49ers.
And it bounces away just enough.
Gerald. Hector will advance to third.
But that'll go down as a wild pitch.
10,
Even though he threw that literally right down the middle, hit the ground right in front of the
catcher. Rounded to short. Runner at second will be chased back. Correa's out. Hector comes across with a fourth run of the game for the 49ers.
And so that you give up a run because of that.
On the year for Correa.
And I'm telling you, every game I watch, I see one or two runs minimum given up because of a play like that by the catcher who's in a one knee stance. Guys on base, I think you got to be in a more athletic stance. Question from Dusty Isaacs: how bad is Charlotte's first baseman? My God. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he was doing, because it really was not that bad of a throw from the second baseman, deep up the middle, throwing on the run across his body. And it was just a short hop where, I mean, that's just like a pick off the ground. And he literally I think he did not get his feet off first base until like the last second. So he kind of had to rush everything. But yeah, that was pretty bad play. Thank you for the question, Dustin.
And Malstat, the underhand. Gets the only batter he faces out of the bullpen, and still a lot of baseball to be played in the regular season and conference.
So look, and that we can stop to look at these projected host sites by D1 baseball. Again, these will change, but right now, A&M, Florida State, North Carolina, Arkansas, Kentucky, Clemson, Tennessee, Virginia. You seeing any things that I've talked about in the last few days? A&M, Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, 4 SECs. Florida State, North Carolina, Clemson, Virginia. 4 ACCs. These are the 2 best conferences in the country by a long shot. Long shot. Then it's the Big 12. Then it's the Sun Belt over the Big 10 and the Pac-12.
But Eric
Bakic's
team right now projected to be a top 6 seed, and of course that would mean not only would you get a regional here at Doug Kingsmore Stadium, but they'd be able to.
This just in, Metro has nada yada yada. No contracts, no exploding bills, and no surprises.
Now we're forced to listen to ads. So we got another question here from Dusty. I'm surprised the Charlotte first baseman knew how to execute that rundown. I think we're being a little harsh now. He did make a tough play, but he made up for it with that rundown, I guess. Anyway, we'll continue with the game. Both teams offensively doing a great job. Putting together, I mean, just line drive. I mean, these are beautiful swings. I mean, by both teams. I think this game so far, from what I've watched over these last few weeks of doing the streams, is just consistent bat pass for both of these schools. Does he get the bunt down? Perfectly executed safety. Look at this. Good play right there I'm guessing that was the pitcher. Yeah. Maybe we'll get a replay. Yep. Great bunt, safety squeeze. Runner scores easily from third. Guy from second gets there. Man, just barely gets him, but it's a great play. Clemson able to get out of it. It was still a 1-run lead. Are we going to see the first home run for Clemson? Yep. All right, so that's 3 home runs. 3. We're a little bit behind our average right now, but there's 3 home runs. .96 exit velocity. That's a home run. It's off the end of the bat. I mean, again, you can just see this. This, like this ball. I'm sorry, that ball should never get out. Anyway, back to it. So Clemson gets a little bit of insurance, 8 to the 8th. And we're just doors in Charlotte's hitters now. Fastballs inside, just jamming them. As Kirk Neuenhuis would say, jam. And then the wipeout slider. Oh, Clemson going to Georgia Tech May 3rd through the 5th. I'll be, I think, at one of those games calling it. That's a jam. Jam. I mean, Dusty, your boy. I guess he's a good hitter, but Charlotte's first baseman just has. Now, that is not an easy pick, but I think he's missed like 4 now. And it's like he's not even getting glove on it. So I don't know it's not like it's tipping off his glove. He's whiffing. I don't know if his technique is off. But watch, Clemson's going to get, oof, that hurts. But Clemson's probably going to get some insurance from this. Yeah, and Charlotte's just defense really letting them down. How many runs has Charlotte given up because of errors? It's probably 4 or 5. And then do we have another one? Let's see if it costs them a run. Look, all right, we're in the 1 knee. This is the one I don't get. They get in this like sumo 1 knee stance. Which again, I'm not saying that's a good pitch. But I'm saying if you're not in the like sumo split 1 knee, you have a chance of getting in front of that. But when all you got is I'm going to pick it and hope for the best, that's when it's an issue. And now you got 1 out and a runner on third. So now you just got to put it in play. And swinging a pitch 4 inches off the plate and up out of the zone. Also, Charlotte's able to get out of it, which could have been a tough, made it into a 4-run lead. And then, what happens? Your guy throwing 98 walks the leadoff hitter after you've just gone up 8-5 in the 9th. Love leading off. Please, guys, do not lead off. Get the leadoff hitter out. Throw strike 1. Oof, and that would have been ball 4 right there. But that's kind of the velocity. That's just like the velocity kind of making it. That's a hitter who doesn't face that kind of velocity too often. So he's forced to make a decision really fast, and he just swings at a pitch off the plate. But in college baseball, that could have been called strike 3, but you want to take there. That's probably 3 inches off. We'll pop up. Fantastic. That is fantastic play by Clemson's third baseman. Full speed to get over there, and then he really got under control quick to get under it. Great play. I think that's Blake Wright, one of the stars for Clemson. Yeah, and this closer for Clemson is just kind of dominating Charlotte with the velocity. And that's the game. Okay. So a good game from Clemson and Charlotte. Again, Charlotte, what hurt them? Defense. They probably win the game if their defense just plays clean baseball. All right, now we're going to go to UNC and Coastal Carolina.
Carolina team as Johnson sends in the first pitch. It misses low, and we are underway. It got banged earlier in the season. Antonassi blasts it through the left
UNC is
side.
going to be really good in a few years, man. And even next year. I mean, they're good this year.
That's exactly
They're
what
really
he's
good
been
this year,
doing
but they have
all
2
season
freshmen
in
on the
that
starting
leadoff
rotation.
role for Coach Gilmore.
And this guy's pitching in the midweek
They're
for
having
him.
a good year.
And he's humming 92, 94
Right down
him.
the line, squeezed it first. They get
Ryan
the force
Gaines
out,
doing a
and
good
the
job
tag
recruiting over there at UNC,
second.
their pitching
Great play
coach.
from Parks Harbor over to Colby Wilkerson at short.
Jesse Wierzbicki's not doing too bad on the
Castagnazzi getting the
offensive
start again
side.
at third base, and
I
a
like this
called
guy's
strike
delivery.
three.
Dusty, I don't know what you think, Dusty, about this guy's delivery, but
And it's rolling
for
into the
UNC
corner
at least.
left. Extra bases for the leadoff hitter for the Tar Heels. It's a double for D'Onofrio. Improved his walk rate a season
whiff
ago.
on it, man.
Waves it to misses.
yeah, this was a tough swing right
That's
here.
for
Holy
the
cow.
Heels. It's a double for D'Onofrio. Improved his walk rate a season ago.
I'm not sure what he was looking for. He's got 2 strikes. Came out low.
Waves it to misses. And that's strike
That's right.
three.
That was Honeycutt, too. Jeez.
Ball 4 inside.
Good take.
2 on for North Carolina with 1 away. Pounded into the ground, over to third, scooped up, the force out, gets the lead runner. The
Wow.
throw to
I mean,
first
that's really
in
close
time.
at first, but
A bad play by Antonassi.
I'm not sure what the third baseman's doing here.
For North Carolina with 1 away.
We'll take a look at it again just to make sure.
Pounded into the ground.
Guys, ball hit right at you or to your left, you go to second. Ball hit to your right towards third base, you step on third base because your momentum's taking you there anyway. So his decision to go tag third probably cost him a double play. I am surprised it was that close at first because he took a long time to get to third. Maybe they review it. Excuse me. Maybe they review it and overturn it, but I think he was probably safe.
And a bad play by Antonassi to get the lead runner, and a 2 away.
The main reason.
Blasted up into the
Looks like they're
air
gonna
in
get out of
center
it.
field. Graham Brown chases it as it moves over to right center, and it retires the side.
Oh, the swinging bunt! Look at this. This guy's got his pitching wedge out.
Not enough time to make a throw to first.
We got another question from the man Dusty Isaacs, really livening up the chat today. Part of the problem with the catcher kickstand stance 1 knee is that college pitchers poor command. Yeah, I agree. And I think, I mean, again, if there's no one on base, but even with no one on base at 2 strikes, like you don't want a ball getting away, especially in a count where you are trying to bury pitches. And again, we talked about the wild pitches, how they're changing, how those things are graded now. But think about it like this. If I'm a catcher 0-2, I'm calling the pitch in the dirt. So to say like, well, if it hits the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Like I get that argument, but the catcher knows it's going to hit the dirt. Like he is anticipating that, especially like in an 0-2, 1-2 pitch. I mean, you'll see catchers all the time. They'll hit the ground with their glove, like bury it. So the idea that, it hit the ground, he can't block it, or it's a wild pitch. It's like, well, if he's intending to throw it there, it's not a wild pitch. But yeah, I mean, college pitchers of 100%, way more than pro guys, they're going to miss targets left and right. And so if you're not in a stance that can give you maximum mobility and adjustability, you're going to see way more of these wild pitches.
An infield single for Beach.
And the swinging bunt. What a beautiful.
3-2 inside. It hits the batter born with no runs across.
I don't know about you, Dusty, but I feel like I'm seeing way more hit by pitches now too. Like I just don't feel like that was a big thing when we were playing.
The base paths.
Look at this. And again, I mean, we're going to talk about it, but what do? You hit by pitch. Did this hit him too?
3-2 inside. It
so 2 hit by pitches.
2
hit by pitches, and all it takes is, hit by pitch, a walk.
It loads the base paths.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, it takes 1 hit.
Miho's a line drive, and it's down and left.
1 hit gets you 2 runs.
It's a 2-run single for the shot to clears.
I'm a guy who lost a bet and my dignity, as if watching my team lose.
We'll pass the time with our mayhem. Yeah, Dusty's really the only one being active in the chat right now, guys. Hey, come on. Hit up. Ask all the questions you want. Make fun of me. I don't care. All right, here we go. Great. I mean, it's like not a bad pitch from the pitcher. I mean, it's inside corner. He just does a great job, pulls his hands inside and gets enough barrel to it. He gets jammed, but he gets enough barrel to it to get it out over the infielder's head.
The 2-2. Antonassi rips it through the right side of the
big inning for
infield.
Costa.
Brooks from second comes across.
UNC at 14-4 in the ACC is really impressive. Like, this is what kind of annoys me, is that a team like Florida had been in the top 25 for almost the entirety of the season, and they're like 17-17 on the year. But UNC's 14-4 in the ACC, and they're number 11.
Side view in terms of what he's doing. Same thing. He was out in front of it and found the hole right at second base. Once again, perfect placement. Once again, him using all aspects of the field.
They're in for the bullpen. Part of what makes this possible for North Carolina. Throw down to second. Stevenson. The run comes across.
Oh, wow.
And Harbor lays the tag, so the run does count and makes it.
Wow, we got a little Coastal Carolina small ball game here. So if you guys don't know, this is just a designed. Another, we'll see here. Another one knee. He blocks it.
For North Carolina. Throw down.
This is 100% an intentional. It's called steal and stop. So you're stealing, you're stopping like halfway, and you gotta sell it to the catcher, because a savvy catcher will know, all right, they're trying to get me thrown on a second so the runner can score from third. So you really got to sell the steal, and as soon as you see him pop up to throw, you stop. Now, if he doesn't throw and he's not taking the bait, you walk into second. But good job by Coastal Carolina here. They draw the throw. Runner comes across the score. Your job as a base runner, you got to stay the run down until the guy scores. So, perfect execution. Gets them one extra run in the inning with 2 outs. And see, what most teams will do there is like, well, let's just hope our guy gets a hit. And it's like, with 2 outs, the chances of that are pretty low.
To the infield.
Castagnazzi rips it into left. It's down and one hops the wall. Stumbles on his way around first. Good thing he crushed it. He's into second easily with the 2-out double.
A couple of years now is
UNC starting to barrel a few balls up, but nothing to show for it.
Right to Bourne and left, and
schedule, and once again you gotta give Coach Gilmore credit for it.
3 pitches, 3 strikes.
UNC's pitching staff is impressive. 93-94, just humming corners.
Dalton Pence.
Just humming corners.
Honeycutt flies it up,
and then Honeycutt drives one.
Center field, back to the wall.
All right, so how many home runs have we seen so far? Is it just one?
A solo home run for Vance Honeycutt. His 50th of his collegiate career.
That's a historic.
Wasn't the worst. I mean, that's what I like. He was obviously happy to hit the home run, but he's not, staring down the pitcher. And man, this lefty's got some serious command to his glove side. Serious command to his glove side.
The baseball.
Ooh. Great at bat, great swing. 92 from that arm slot. Yikes.
With the single. Good piece of 2-strike hitting there. Now with 2 strikes, Castagnazzi waves.
What the heck am I watching? This guy's funky.
Second out.
That Wilkerson can rise to the occasion.
He bends over like he's going to be throwing sidearm, but then he kind of like slings it over the top. That is one of the weirdest deliveries I've ever seen.
Jake Books, and it retires the side.
Yeah, I mean, I bet he is.
D'Onofrio,
I mean,
half-hearted
this is the
swings.
kind of pitcher, if you're a left-handed hitter, you have to you get on top of the plate. Like your toes are on the edge of the inside part of the white line in the batter's box because it'll make him as uncomfortable as you are. The worst thing to do is just like be in your normal stance against a guy with this kind of arm slot who's really uncomfortable. It's really tough to stay on that slider if he throws it right. So you get on top of the plate, and you either, you hope you get hit by a pitch, but at least it kind of makes that slider a little bit more manageable to fight off with 2 strikes. And then you're before 2 strikes, you're trying to pull this guy because he's coming from way over here. So you think that he's not coming straight at, if you look at his camera, he's not coming straight at home. He's coming from here. So he's cross-firing you. So, you got to match that plane.
Strikes out.
So you get on top of the plate and you're thinking right center.
It's unbelievable.
If you're a lefty.
Schaefer the 2-2, bounced to left side, and it's through. Second hit of the night for Honeycutt. This time it's a single. Cook rounds it right side. The flip to second gets Honeycutt, but Cook runs it out.
It's amazing, and you don't really appreciate major league infielders until you watch like college baseball all the time, and how many double plays that you think off the bat are just like for surefire double plays, and they're not even close to being turned, like that one right there. And it's because what you don't realize is that like a major league infielder or a professional level infielder, they're gaining a few steps coming to get it. They're getting rid of it much quicker. It's a stronger throw. The shortstop's getting rid of it much faster. He's got a much stronger arm. And so all of that makes it to where it's very hard. You get a ground ball in the infield in professional baseball, you're getting doubled up a vast majority of the time. UNC's just got like tall lefties with command that throw 90 plus. Good play. Wait,
another solo home run for North Carolina. This
he
time
missed it.
Alberto Osuna with his 10th of the season.
All right, let's go back and see this.
Brown strikes out swinging. All of their quad 1 games have been against ACC
Great
competition.
swing.
That one's lifted to deep
All right, so
field. Osuna back to the wall.
Guys, don't do this. If you have enough time to get to the wall and you're just stopped and you just jump, climb the wall. Get back to the wall, jump up 1 foot, hand on the top of the wall, make an attempt. Because sometimes it's going to be hit too hard where you can't get back to climb the wall. But in this case, he could have got back and climbed up, and he probably catches it.
And it's over. Another solo home run for North Carolina. This time, Alberto Osuna with his 10th of the season.
North Carolina, a few solo shots. What we got? 2 home runs on the game so far, so we're a little bit below average today. But we got a game left. A lot closer game.
Once again,
choked up too. 2 strikes.
Hitter is attacking right center field. Alberto Osuna goes with the pitch. Barely just gets over the outstretched arm of Jake Brooks.
Yeah, I mean, he's just late on his jump too. And again, that's why you climb and you kind of just post up on top of the wall. Because a lot of people, what they do miss because of that,
happens here.
They're late on their jump. So his glove was still going up when the ball went over his glove.
Madera into the grounds. Schaefer covering, and Madera runs it out.
This guy's still in, man. This lefty. I bet the UNC's hitters probably hate this guy. I don't know what his weapon is to righties. He has a changeup, maybe, but he's got to be power on
retires the side. Swing and a miss. Percival with his 3rd strikeout.
But I mean, the fact that Coastal Carolina lefty is up to 92 is kind of scary. With that arm, with that delivery,
for the
oh my
second time in 3 plate appearances for Coastal.
Coastal hasn't added on for a long time, so they need to get something going. Bullpen from UNC has done a fantastic job.
Stevenson, the throw, grounded to second, but snagged.
The old 2-hopper to second base. I'm not sure what kind of jump the base runner got, but almost kills his pitcher too.
Still a 2-run game. Let's stretch it out.
I don't know. Maybe on a replay that might. Look, he's still in, man. This guy's nasty, dude. This guy is nasty.
Smith, the graduate player.
They take him out. Look, they take him out. Let me see here. So he had thrown 61 pitches. I don't believe he started the game. He didn't. He didn't start the game, but he's thrown, what, 4 or 5 innings now, 61 pitches. And really kept UNC in check. I mean, just a couple, solo shots. But now, Hanger, Honeycutt, probably going to will be a first-round pick this year. And so UNC can't buy a base runner on base, but they got some solo shots. Now 3 home runs on the game if you're keeping track.
3 solo homers. But they're in this game, down only 1.
Just hanging slider.
It's the typical way they play their
swing.
baseball. Again.
Who's put up 20 in a single season before. Cook chases strike 3. Smith the 2-2. Harbor rips it, and it's down in left for a hit. Another 3-2.
Osuna's choking up like 4 inches on the bat.
Pushes it out to center field. It doesn't have enough.
He crushed that one, just not enough under it.
That could have tied it up.
Pete Rose played as if his head was on fire.
Big swing from Antonacci there.
I believe North Carolina's bullpen or the pitching staff hasn't given up a run since the first inning.
Lines it into left. Cook comes up with it, makes a strong.
Which is tough if you're Coastal. And look at how important that. I just want to not make, because people don't think like this, but look at how important that 1 run they got on the steal and stop, steal of home is right now. They still have a 1-run lead in the 8th.
Pitch high, Stevenson the pump.
And Coastal will run a lot. They're pretty aggressive on the base path. Get a guy in scoring position with 2 outs.
Barthel sends it up into the air, left center. Honeycutt underneath, and that retires the side.
Seeing him live for the first time.
Man, you love it when you're down 1 run and your lead guy leading off the inning gets on base. You love that.
Dara hits it down.
Carolina playing small ball, well executed, well played by Coastal Carolina.
Puts the runner in scoring position for North Carolina. Up the middle.
Oh my gosh! I mean, this is again.
Cost comes around to score, and it's a tie game in the bottom of the 8th. Comes around to up the middle. The runner in scoring position for North Carolina.
You got to. I mean, you got to knock this down, right?
Up the middle.
You can't let that eat you up.
Cost comes around.
Because now you're giving up a tying run.
And it's a tie of the 8th. Timing for the first.
But you still got your pitcher on the mound. You still got double play.
So this perfect
opportunity here. Runner on first.
I think kudos to Coach Phillips for this call right up the middle. But just
that'll go down as a hit probably in college baseball. But you're out every time on that.
Swings away. Skips it to second, the toss, Mijos all the time.
All right, so you're out of it. But now look at that 1 run they got in the first inning with the steal and stop. They'd be losing going into the top of the 9th.
Walks Bodine to begin the top of the 9th inning.
And this is North Carolina's closer. His last name.
When we come to the table,
something like that.
It's what we all bring.
Brown swinging away. Sends it high, center field.
Ball does not seem to be going to center field.
Makes the catch. The runner is trying to tag up the throw from Honeycutt. There.
Oh my gosh, what happened? And Honeycutt can really throw from center field, as you see here. First of all, great job. A lot of center fielders aren't even going to think that a runner's going to try to tag up here. So either his outfielders are helping him communicate, but he knows and just puts a strike on second base. Now, good job really by the base runner sliding to the inside part of the bag because he catches a throw out here and he slides just slightly to the inside part of the bag, and it's enough to miss the tag.
Not applied. And then he was fine after that. Bouncer right side.
Oh my gosh.
Harper's glove and into right. Alexander comes across, and Coastal Carolina retakes the lead in the
Guys, make sure your batting gloves are always strapped. It's a bad look. Let's see what happens here.
It's a tough play. It's that in-between hop.
Yeah, and again, this is one of those where it's tough, but as a first baseman, those big choppers like that are going to eat. I mean, you just have to trust your second baseman because the chances of a first baseman who just generally aren't the most athletic guys.
It's a tough place. In between hop, you don't know to get your body in front.
I mean, it's going to be tough, and your second baseman was right there.
And it just ate hard.
So it cost you a run.
Poston gets a swing and a miss. Strike 3.
Coastal Carolina.
Anthony D'Onofrio.
Watch this. Swinging. Wow, good job. PFP's done.
Hard hit on the ground, left side. A chance to run it out, but what a play by Mijos from short. Cook leaves it.
Wow.
Ball 4.
And I do think that's down. Yeah, I mean that's low, right? We can agree that's low. But it's just, I mean, you're seeing these pitches get called.
Leaves it low, ball 4.
You understand the frustration from like the catcher and everything.
Sharp ground ball to short, and the throw gets away. Everybody's safe. They're at the corners. North Carolina still with a chance.
Oh my gosh! Again, like I told you guys, I don't watch these like beforehand. What is this? 2 outs. You're about to knock off the number 10 team and the 11 team in the country. Routine as it gets. Plenty of time.
Ground ball to short.
And it's just, I mean, it's Yip City.
Sharp ground ball to short.
I mean, out of the hand, I was like, that's way up.
And the throw gets away.
And luckily for Coastal Carolina, UNC's got that brick over there on the first base side, and it kind of all around. So it goes right back to the first baseman because a lot of other fields, they probably score and tie the game up. Now you're just now the coaches are in the dugout and they're just, I mean, they are panic city because you're thinking we literally had the game won and now it's bases loaded. Not only could UNC tie the game when we should have had it won with 2 outs and a throwing error, they can walk it off right here.
Run in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Creativity that went in to get into this point in the game.
Fighting with 2 strikes, baby.
Equal the 2-2, a swing and a miss. And somehow
Coastal Carolina still. You know what that shortstop is thinking? Thank God.
It's the first loss at home this season.
And UNC's 27-game home win streak.
For the Tar Heels.
And again, I mean, UNC really, they could not get any. They couldn't have. You saw their offense was literally the solo home run. That was it. So it's tough to win. It's tough to win when you don't. It's tough to win when you can't score without the home run. And so, anyway, but that was both those games were fantastic. But you know, one of the things I'm trying to do with these game discussions is kind of show you guys what are the main things that cause a team to lose a game. Defensive miscues. Coastal Carolina got away with, just a terrible one. Especially on a play that is just so routine. You saw my reaction when he made the bad throw. It's like, that's the kind of error that loses you a game. Not a long throw from the outfield or a play where a guy has to get up, get rid of it quick and, right at him, hard hit. He's got plenty of time and just sails the throw. That's tough. Anyway, no, I think that's going to do it for the stream, guys. I appreciate the questions from my buddy Dusty, making it a little bit less monotonous talking by myself, but we're going to start, like I said, these are going to be daily things now. We'll have different discussions. We're going to have coaches on. We're going to have some other guys part of our team on starting next week. So we'll be pumping out content every day on college baseball, Major League Baseball. Stories come up. We'll talk about them. Hope you enjoyed the stream, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.